Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, the regulatory landscape, and capital markets. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining me this afternoon, we have Matt Krukin, North America Head of Software and Charging Solutions at Ford Pro, Chris Russo, co-founder of Elite Home Care, and Neil Cervenka, Chief of Police of the Northern California Fort Bragg Police Department. We're here to discuss the EV transition in commercial vehicles, what the business case is, and how it compares to retail adoption. It is great to have all of you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Matt, I want to kick this off with you. How do commercial customers compare to regular retail customers when it comes to electric vehicles? Do you see them adopting the technology and the product as fast as retail?
You got it. Yeah, thanks, Jill. Appreciate it. Definitely want to hear from, Chris and Neil as well. But from the Ford perspective, we're seeing a lot of customers actually still in the early stages, whether you're retail or whether you're going to be a commercial customer. The funny thing is, whether you're a fleet driver driving for a company or you're just a residential user, it's the same feeling when you get behind the wheel of a responsive, very responsive electric vehicle, the performance, the metrics, and having the technology and the safety around it. But overall, what we've seen working with consulting with thousands of customers as they make that electrification journey, what we're seeing is that commercial customers, it's a little bit more predictable. We're seeing that they're actually looking at use cases. It's a little less personal. They're actually looking at working with our Ford Pro team to say, hey, is this use case actually going to work? And in fact, we actually work with our customers hands-on to make those decisions. Ford Pro be the first company to tell the customers, hey, you know what? It may not be the right fit for your use case. But at the end of the day, it's actually looking at the predictability, looking at the total cost of ownership, making sure it makes sense, and making sure that that vehicle will fit the needs of that customer. So we're seeing commercial customers a little bit more predictive at the end of the day.
So, Matt, let's stick with this for a moment here. How are businesses experimenting with EVs?
Yeah, well, they started small, right? What we know is, customers were really trying it out. The try before you buy. We've seen one of our customers, they went public. They started off with 100 Ecolab out west, started with a 100-unit electrification pilot. Now onto a 1,000-unit fleet in California. So what we're seeing are customers starting small, feeling it out, making sure that what is expected is coming through. Commercial customers have to go through a training of their employees as well. Sometimes writing new corporate standards on, data availability and consent that drivers are actually having their data readily available. So we go through that process, and at the end of the day, our customers are actually making that journey, starting small. And funny, I love to hear, the customers here, Chris and Neil, but what we've seen is our customers are getting repeat buyers. They're coming back saying, you know what? I started small. Now I'm going to go back at it. And what Ford Pro is seeing is that our average customer size is actually doubled over the last year and a half. So it shows that customers are adopting the technology and then going a little bit further, saying, hey, I want a little bit more. And, my workforce is actually accepting of this. So I'm going to keep going. So hope that makes sense to you.
No, it certainly does. And let's pull the curtain back for a moment here and think about how businesses and municipalities are adopting this technology. Chris, I want to kick this off with you because as with any decision that you're going to make, you're thinking about the return and you're thinking about the risk management side of it. So from your perspective, how does a business know if electric vehicles are a fit for them?
Thanks, Jill. As Matt said, we started off small. I had never considered an electric vehicle. I'd never driven an electric vehicle until we started down this path. We started in late 2021. We started out with 10 e-transits. That was our initial order. We put them into our fleet to learn how they work, get our drivers accustomed to them. For us, just like any business owner, you're doing things that make sense. This is a piece of equipment that's on the road all day, comes in, charges at night, goes back on the road in a predictive manner. We could plan our routes. We can be efficient. The electric vehicles just allowed us to be more efficient. So a lot of people buy them because they think they're going to save on fuel. And that did happen, but that wasn't the main savings. The main savings was the lack of maintenance, the less time being down because of an issue with a vehicle. And that's what made these really make sense for us as a business. We started with 10, a little bit smaller scale, but now we're up to 125, and we're continuing. We have another fleet order in right now to continue to grow. For us, it's allowed us to scale and grow our business because we're allowed us to take so much cost out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so when we started, we talked about taking fuel out. fuel costs of gasoline or diesel, but we do need electricity as fuel. So as we grew with it, we started off with charging infrastructure with what are called level 2 chargers that would charge overnight. And we just, again, with Ford's support, started building out our own supercharger network of fast chargers because as we've expanded, we need to power these vehicles, keep them on the road longer, and allow us to grow our business. So in working with Ford, we've become more efficient by using this new platform, and we're continuing to grow with it.
Yeah, you made a great point about maintenance before. We're going to get back to that in a moment. But Chief Cervenka, from the municipality perspective, because you need to get buy-in from multiple areas, what's the business case? How are you approaching the adoption of EV with your fleet?
So with us, and thank you, Jill, for the question. We have a very small fleet. We only have about 8 marked patrol vehicles, and this was a perfect test case for the rest of law enforcement. Working with Ford Pro, they steered us towards the F-150s. They performed admirably as a gas vehicle. I had a lot of information about EV. I knew we could implement it. City leadership here had put it as a priority for the city to move to electric on the north coast of California. A lot of the issues we had to work with, we lose power a lot in winter storms, and developing generators and backup systems to charge them. And really getting the buy-in of the officers. Where Chris has very predictable routes, police cars are not predictable. Police cars, they drive around at 25 miles an hour for 10 hours, and then they do 120 in a pursuit for 2 minutes. So being able to find a platform that was usable for the officers, and the Lightnings really provided that safety, that comfort. We see less injuries. It comes down to the safety of the officers more than the efficiency of the vehicle. However, using tax dollars and general fund dollars, saving $40,000 a year in fuel for our fleet of 8, and saving probably another $20,000 in maintenance a year. While those are small numbers compared to a lot of the big companies we have here, for a small budget, those are huge savings for us.
Certainly is on a percentage basis. That's what matters at the end of the day.
Yes.
Chris, you brought up maintenance before, and I have a follow-up question for you with Matt as well. For the workforce, in terms of maintenance, do you have the appropriate skill set that is able to perform maintenance and the diagnostics that's required to service and maintain an exclusively electric fleet?
So we still rely on the manufacturer for things out of our scope, but for the most part, for us, in the years that we've had these, it's been minimal maintenance. So there's just less moving parts than there were in traditional ICE vehicles. So we're swapping out tires, windshield wipers, things like that. Now, they do go in for scheduled maintenance, but we're not having as many moving parts that we before had to have a maintenance team on staff, or we had teams that maybe were putting transmission fluid in or changing oil, or maybe they made a mistake and now all of a sudden we're down a vehicle because someone put the wrong fluid in their wrong area, right? Those things happen, accidents happen, but now we've just cut all of that out. We don't even have to worry about that. It's like plugging in your phone at night. I mean, it's just a much simpler process. And as businesses are trying to attract employees, for us, that also had a value too, as we're attracting drivers. Wow, this business has the newest, best vehicles on the road. Wow, it's a lot easier to use these vehicles. Wow, this is a better experience for me as a driver. So that's helped us, attract drivers too, which was unexpected, but a benefit.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make. And Matt, I find this question to be fascinating from a design and engineering process. Are you thinking along those lines as well? It feels as if the technology sometimes evolves much quicker than skill sets can. How do you think about that during the design and engineering process?
Yeah, the good news, great question. The good news is Ford Pro is there to support all our customers from a commercial standpoint, right? So there's a certain level of expertise that not only do our teams that support them, whether you're sales, support, or service, or parts, dealers, they're certified commercial dealers as well, that are out there with the right level of skill sets to support our customers, whether it be from a government standpoint, large commercial, small commercial. But at the end of the day, Ford Pro has thought ahead of that, right? When we're designing the vehicles, we're thinking and we're getting all of our dealerships ahead of the curve so that they're prepared to support the demand, even from an electric standpoint.
Yeah, and Matt, Chief Cervenka made a really interesting point here that they can go from 0 to 60 to 100 in a matter of seconds. They're constantly having to pivot. Sometimes, charging anxiety can be a thing in the EV market. How are you addressing the issue of charging for commercial customers who, might be on the road 10, 12 hours and they need to pivot depending on the situation at hand?
Yeah, great. That's a good one too. So I think Chris really went down the path of, hey, they started off with level 2 chargers, a little bit less expensive, charge overnight. That was the use case where you take your vehicle back at night, you plug it in, within 6 hours, you get a full charge, you wake up the next morning. Interesting enough, that's actually saves you time, right? So not having to be at a gas, fuel pump during the day, what have you. But given the ability, I'm super excited about what Ford Pro offers. You have actually Blue Oval Charge Network is the largest public charging network in North America, right? So all of our customers have access, to Blue Oval Charge Network. Also, Ford Pro provides charging support, infrastructure support, sales support, and installation with our partners for home charging and public charging and depot charging. So whether or not it's hey, I'm an HVAC company that has 12 vehicles going home, I want to install in the homes for my drivers. Or it's a larger HVAC company that wants to put in 20 chargers, level 2 and level 3 in their depot. Ford Pro has a level of support across the board, across the gamut for that.
Yeah, and Chief Cervenka, you brought up a great point before. Sometimes we talk about innovation as it relates to autonomy or EVs. You brought up innovation in safety, and that really resonated with me, particularly with all of the data that's available now for OEMs and other areas within the EV market to make advances here. And I thought when you brought up innovation in safety, that was a great point to bring up.
Yeah, with officer safety is always paramount in a chief's mind, and what they're driving every day, what they're in for 12 hours, serving the public. If it's not safe, then we lose officers, and it's bad for the community. So by concentrating on the safety aspect and the usability aspect, we have a lot of back issues. We have a lot of ankle issues in law enforcement. We carry a lot of gear, and having a vehicle that you can get in and out of easier, that you don't have a gas tank at the back that could explode in a collision or catch fire. We see a lot of vehicle fires and ICE vehicles, far more greater number percentage than EV vehicles. When you're talking about sustaining or being whole after a collision because the vehicle protected you, that's very important. So it's a lot of officer comfort, less back injuries, and they're not going to the gas pumps. We have a level 3 charger we just got installed here at the police department. So there's a lot of incidents where officers were ambushed at gas pumps, because usually municipal gas pumps are in far off dark corners of the city. And it makes it an easy opportunity for people wishing us harm to attack us in that, because we're very vulnerable. Here, they just come back to the station, they plug in, and then they come in and they go write reports. So it has been a game changer, and it took a little bit of time, some changes in perspective, but they love it, and it's far more efficient and safer for our officers.
Yeah, and that's encouraging to hear. And of course, on behalf of myself and Nasdaq, we do thank you and your team for the service that you provide to keep the public safe. Chris, I want to ask you that question in a different way. Is there anything that you've learned by adopting EV technology, whether it's data that you can glean from it that's made your operations more efficient?
Yeah, so any business owner, right, they call the difference between revenue and profit margins. So you live in those margins, and that's really important. So efficiency is the biggest thing. So these vehicles allow us to collect that data, to look at our routes, to not allow our team to just say, well, I'll just stop and get gas and drive wherever I want, right? So now they really follow these tight routes that we can monitor and keep track of, with the Ford data that comes back from these vehicles. So it's helped us to become more efficient. It's helped our drivers to become more efficient. They're happier because they know exactly where they're going, when they're going to be back, how much energy they have. across the board, everybody has had a better time moving to this new platform. That's not to say there wasn't range anxiety the very first day when they saw that they're going to be driving an electric vehicle. It was a change. But just like what we told everybody is, hey, you would run out of gas if you had a gas vehicle. You could run out of energy if you're driving a electric vehicle. Think about it, plan it, be efficient. And it's made us be a better company and them take it more seriously too and think about what they're doing every day. So across the board, it's been better for us as a business.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I'm the one that lets it run into fumes, so can relate there. To wrap up here, Matt, beyond the businesses that we have represented on the panel, are there any other industries Ford Pro is seeing uptake in when it comes to EV commercial adoption?
Yeah, certainly so. And actually, just to close the loop on what Neil and Chris had said, safety, stability, security, these are all elements. These are benefits from having data connected to the vehicle. Happy to say since 2020, Ford has actually had all 100% connected vehicles. So it gives the ability, whether through the Ford Pro ecosystem or even partners, to get access to that data to keep the vehicle safe. But to answer your sorry, I lost your last question. You're asking me.
What other businesses do you see an uptick? Yeah.
It comes down to the use case question. What fits the use case? And when it comes down to it, we see a lot of states, municipalities, police departments, a lot of colleges, universities with last mile. The United States Postal Service just had a large rollout of electric vehicles. And at the end of the day, it bodes very well for the use case because the vehicles are all short-term, small routes. They drive all day, gaining a lot of efficiency. And then at night, they go back and charge level 2 overnight, keeping the efficiency of those vehicles overnight. But we see a lot of utilities also jumping in, working with us. We announced our Excel partner with the 30x30, which is rolling out, 30,000 charge ports by 2030. A lot of the utilities are out there to make sure that, helping up front, lower the cost of some of the charging and the infrastructure. So it's easier, a little bit more palatable for our customers jointly. But at the end of the day, I'll just say it's every field out there with the right use case that fits, right? Whether you're, Chris's team with, driving e-transits for home healthcare, whether you're a police department, driving, I won't say 120, Neil, I don't go that fast. But the performance is there overall to support every customer. And Ford probably the first team that work with the customers and help them fit the use case at the end of the day.
All right. Appreciate everyone's insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.